George Lucas grew up a huge fan of comic books. Indeed, it was comic books and comic art that were a major inspiration for Star Wars. Star Wars then produced this vast body of incredible art. And we're really excited about presenting this new book from some of the best comic artists in the world, Star Wars Art Comics. The beauty of this book is that it takes something very familiar, the art of Star Wars in comics, and allows you to look at it from a completely different perspective. And that makes it of interest to Star Wars fans, to comic art fans, to just fans of fine art. It's a beautiful book.
George has a real feeling for this kind of artwork. So we invested quite a bit in this project, and I think readers will appreciate that as they go through this book. And it's a really jam-packed book full of great art and interesting information. And then, of course, there's a limited edition which has even more artwork and signed artwork. And both books are among the best we've ever done.
In creating this book, George didn't want to just stop with the existing body of Star Wars comic art. He thought it would be a great idea to commission new art for the book from some of the leading comic artists. So we went out and approached them.
And he didn't really have to ask much more than that. You know, the answer was, yeah, of course, I'd love to do it.
Just started from there. They just asked for some sketches. They got back to me and said that the one that George wanted was the Princess Leia in the palace. You know, she's the excuse for the piece. Because I like drawing pretty girls. That's certainly something I like to do. But I wanted to draw the monsters. Jedi! And so when it came to Jabba's palace, there's a couple of human beings, but it's a building full of monsters, and that's just something that really appealed to me.
For me, comics is one of the last refuges of people who just like to draw, who just like lines. I like paintings too, but there's something about a clean or an interesting or elegant line that is very compelling. And getting to design things like the interior of the Imperial Palace, that's the appeal of comics, is you get to design each image. In this case, it was very much about that sort of oppressive, giant, monolithic system, visually crushing everyone with these big diagonal lines, smashing them into the corner.
You know, the thing I love about Star Wars is that the story has got a real balance of good versus evil. And then you have these characters that are in the in-betweens of these two extremes. So drawing characters in the Star Wars universe is a real joy for an artist to work in because you can touch on so many artistic elements. It's a very liberating universe to work in.
There's a common thread in George's taste in art, which is that a lot of art, when it's originally created, is considered disposable. Actually, in retrospect, is regarded as fine art. And comics fit very much into that mold.
It's amazing. It's amazing to be involved in a collection of work and all the different artists. Hugh Fleming, to have a book with a collection of the beautiful paintings he did for covers of comics, that was in and of itself a treat. Bill Sienkiewicz is in there, Mike Mignola, I mean, some of the greatest comic illustrators of all time.
Guys like Jim Steranko and Sam Kieth and Carlos Garçon, who inked and penciled a lot of the Star Wars stuff with Al Williamson. A lot of these guys are my heroes when I was a kid. We have Joe Kubert, who's been drawing comics since the beginning of comics, and John Romita Sr., who did the great Spider-Man comics, is in this book. Most comic book artists and inkers were men, but we are happy to have two great women artists in our book, Amanda Connor and Jan Duursema. And so it's really a really nice amalgam of the creme de la creme of comic book artists and brings them all together.
The book is beautiful. It's beautifully produced, beautifully designed.
I think if you're a fan of any sort of graphic medium at all, you could pick this thing up and just be inspired by what you're going to see in it. You could just go through page after page and find something else compelling and interesting to look at.